one of the underlying features of this new Khmer Rouge movement, this Pol Pot movement, was their burning hatred for Vietnamese people and for Vietnam. They were not only not controlled by the Communist Party in Hanoi, they were absolutely opposed to anything Vietnamese. They wanted to drive every Vietnamese farmer, fisherman, settler out of Cambodia, and they also wanted to keep the North Vietnamese military, the Viet Cong, out of Cambodia. And so as I did more and more reporting, more and more interviews with refugees, more longer interviews with the village chief from Rusi Srok village, who gave me all of these details, presented how virulent the Pol Pot cadre were in hating Vietnam. And as a result, we'd start to see not only Cambodian refugees coming across the border, but we'd see Vietnamese fishermen who had gone up the Mekong River across the border into Cambodia to fish, earn their livelihood. They were living in makeshift houses along the Mekong River. Suddenly they're being pushed out, and they're starting to retreat back across the border because the Pol Potists were seeking to purify their society. Pol Pot followers hated religion. They defrocked monks. They prosecuted and persecuted the Cham Muslims who were a minority living in Cambodia. They turned Cambodian beautiful temples, Theravada Buddhist temples, into pigsties and raised animals in them. And they imposed this harsh system of punishment so that if anyone spoke against them, they were immediately taken away, supposedly to a secret prison, but from which they never came back. And so as I talked to refugees, more and more these elements of an authoritarian, totalitarian system emerged. In the reports I filed, I said it looks like what we had seen in Nazi Germany, in Stalin's Soviet Union. This was the type of society that was being imposed. And Salazar had indeed, in the 50s, been in Europe. He had come under the sway of the French Communist Party. He had been in Germany and East Germany, come under the impact of East German Communist Party. And then when he returned, he was making trips outside of Cambodia into China, where he came under the influence of the Chinese Communist Party. In all instances, the most harsh, the most radical movement of all. And as I gathered this information, I wrote it all eventually into a large document. It's like a master's thesis almost, but it was one of these State Department airgrams. It was called Canto A008. And I sent it in February of 1974. And the title was The Khmer Rouge Program to Institute a Radical Society in Southern Cambodia. And in it, I put all these details. I told all of these stories, putting detail after detail of how this new movement, with no allegiance to Hanoi, and was imposing a totally new, harsh, unbelievably harsh society. The interesting, indeed the tragic thing is, no one in the US government believed my reporting. At best, they thought that maybe this was an aberration. Intelligence analysts would come down from Saigon to talk to me, sort of, what are you smoking down here? Or have you, you're out here in the woods, have you sort of gone over the hill? so to speak, in what you're reporting on. But as would be seen, in April 1975, 2 weeks before Saigon would fall, the Khmer Rouge would take over Phnom Penh. They would empty all the cities in Cambodia, and they would, following the outline in my report a year earlier sent to our government, they would impose the same system all over Cambodia, eventually leading to the deaths of close to 2 million of the total population of 7 million people of Cambodia at that time. And so this report and my effort to report on and analyze the Khmer Rouge became a central thread of my professional life and continues through 2019.